And I drive my elbow into his hips. Once it's here, I switch and trap his head. Now from here, when I rotate his shoulder, it is an Americana. His wrist is going to be caught in my bicep. My hands are going to be here. I use my elbow in his hips because when I go to step over his head, he's going to try to spin. He's going to try to do the curly shuffle. My elbow is going to be the first blocker. It's not going to stop him, it's just going to slow him down. Then you have a choice to make. You can either step over the head or kneel on his head. Okay? It's kind of a preference thing. It's kind of the same thing with Kimura. Some people like to kneel, both knees down. Some people like to preemptively put one foot up. Neither one's right or wrong, it's just a preference. So again, I'm in, he goes to frame, there's my shark bite, put my elbow into his hips, and then through here, I lean, I'm still pulling his elbow inside, then I'm going to switch my hips and block his head. Pull his elbow to me and push his hand forward. That's going to go into my Americana from here. Okay? And again, I can put my knee down, hit it just as easy, or I can put my foot up and hit it just as well. Okay? But the biggest part is when he frames and he pushes. Right here, when he pushes, pull his elbow down. When that happens, his hand is going to go to my bicep, and his elbow right now is already getting compromised. I put my elbow into his hip, and then I start to make my step, just to collect his head so that I can make my rotation. Pull his elbow to you and drive the hand forward. So again, this is just Americana. It's just a slightly different entrance, so it looks a little funky, but it is just Americana. The hand is up. When we pull the elbow in and rotate the hand backwards, it's going to be a shoulder lock. Any questions? Okay. The timing on it, it's not that bad. It's actually, when your partner does their job, the traditional shrimp, okay, when they're here and they frame, the elbow becomes free. Their frame is what's going to be their downfall. So when you make the shark bite and you trap, drag the elbow down. This is already going to put pressure, and then the hand will get caught in the bicep. Okay. Now all we need to do is trap the head. Like I said, I use my elbow into the hips or into the belly so I can slow them down. And then stepping over the head. Kind of like we did just last week. We did some baseball chokes. It's that similar little hip switch that as I'm here, of just making the one knee replace the other so that my foot can either step over the head or my knee. We're just talking. So when we hit the gable or the shark bite, okay, the shark bite is basically just, we cast the net. My hands don't even need to make it to each other because when they pull back in, they'll find each other. So all I need to do is just put them out. And then once it's in, the shark bite is then the pull in. So the kids do it for like hoopah, things of that nature. They'll reach over their head, gable, and pull. So when we pull, we're going to bring it down. I like to go for my belly button. That's kind of my target. So when I'm in, and I'm here, and he frames, so I'm not just going here and pulling it to my chest. I'm pulling it. Like I'm pulling it down to my belly, and then I'm leaning on it. So now through here, my hands are literally pushing into the top of his bicep, and I'm leaning. This is already creating a little bit of tension. And it's hard for him to pull his hand out because it's already kind of tight. And then like I said, so then I put my elbow in, and I start to make my rotation. Now, very common from here, they're going to try to straighten their arm out. Look at my hands. No switch of my hands. They don't move. My hands are already wedged on his elbow. So we pull it into our body, and then we lean to go after the armbar. Now, the first part I always warn everybody on. I hate compression armbars. Hate them with a passion. Okay? You watch all these videos, and it works in drilling. And it's not to say you can't land a compression armbar. What I mean by compression is the fact that I'm pulling his elbow into me. In most of them, I hold the wrist and I push the elbow away. It's much more natural. When I'm here and I pull the elbow in, I have to bow my body, push my chest forward, and pull the elbow in. My success rate is probably less than 5%. Okay, but you have to go for the compression armbar. It's a must. It slows him down and makes him able to be manipulated to go into the Kimura later. Okay, so if you don't go for the compression armbar, he's going to move faster than he should. My thing is, I tell people is, don't worry about whether you tap him with the armbar or not. I'm not worried about that. As long as the pressure is there and it slows him down and he's kind of like, ooh, 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 okay, that's all I care about. But don't sit there and try to chew on his arm going, I'm not getting it, I'm not getting it, because I don't care, okay? Because ultimately speaking, it's one of these things you have to question, how much do I want to invest in something that even after I dress it up is not going to be very effective when I do it. As long as there's good pressure there, it will steer him where we want to go. So again, I'm in, he comes up, shark bite, pull it down, pin, rotate, oh no, there he goes, pinch, pinch, pinch. And again, I don't care, because if he goes back where he was, okay, it sucks for him because I'll still tap him. So where's he going to go? But I didn't even switch my hands. Everything's still perfectly fine. So from here, we can go into a reverse grip, what we refer to as a speed grip, okay? So again, it's like a rear naked choke. Again, this is the weakest of all Kimura grips. But again, it's one of these things, I can put him into it, start to slow him down. Or go ahead and lock your hands up and go traditional. Either way you like to do it, it's all good. Okay? Now through here, once I lock him up, notice I'm monkey paws whenever I can. Okay, so he was here, he goes all the way around. Oh no! I can switch my grip, lock him up. I like to pick him up by his shoulder, and I like to make his wrist touch his armpit. Okay, pick him up and make his wrist touch his armpit. Okay, most people, they'll tap to that, then make my rotation. Okay, I like to stretch the arm as much as possible. I personally like, I was first originally taught 90s, okay? 90 here, 90 here. I've personally found I like the hand to the armpit a lot more, okay? For me, it's just something that I've come to really like, and I like the bicep slicer that goes with it. So once we come in, pick him up by his arm, and then roll your hands to bring the hand towards the armpit in the process while I pick him up. Okay, so one more time. He pushes, shark bite, step, crunch, crunch, oh no, oh no. Switch my hands through here, sit on his head, squat on him, and pick him up by his arm, and make that wrist touch the armpit. Pinch the knee in the back, and then rotate. Okay? Again, I could be here, it's the same thing, doesn't matter. Sit on his head, pick him up, and run it to go for the actual traditional Kimura. Make sense? All right, let's get. He frames up, pull him in, collapse the elbow. The part that we were just talking about, this hand, when it chops down, his elbow wants to go down. I want it to be going down towards my belly. That's what kind of cinches everything together. Once it's in, now I can kind of flatten him out, make my step, crunch, crunch, crunch. He straightens his arm out, go into the compression. That hardly ever works. So just anticipate he's going to go all the way through. I'm going to switch my hands, and again, I like to pick him up by his own arm, hike his hand to his own armpit. Then through here, he's got a nice little logo that's on his back. This is where shoulder blades are. The knot of my ankle, right here, if the knot of my ankle is above that line, when I go to turn for my arm bar, he's gonna lay on my leg. If the knot, that knot right here, if that knot is below that line, when I turn, my knee will be straight up and down, and I'll have a great position. If it's above, he's gonna lay on my leg. So when I'm here, I want the knot to be right at or below the line, so that when I turn, I just go 45 and I sit. You can see I'm holding onto his arm, still holding onto my Kimura. Now right now, do you see his hips on the ground? His hips are on the ground?
They're kind of floating, but they are on the ground.
What about now?
Nah, they're definitely not on the ground.
Okay. What about now?
Yep.
Press his wrist to his armpit and pull. What about now? Okay, that's pain. That's him trying to get rid of that pain. Crunch. This is the same thing I did from the Kimura. Crunch down and pull. The hips come up to alleviate the pressure. Now I start to iron it out. Right about here, my own wrists say, I can't do this anymore. So now I let go and rotate to his wrist. Now all I gotta do is just arc my hips and go for the armbar. So whenever I go for my armbar from there, his hips in the air, that's what I want every single time. Okay, every single time. The moment I turn, I want those hips going straight up. That means that he's in pain and he's trying to do whatever he can to avoid that pain. Okay? Some people will tap to it, not my problem. Okay? But that's what I want. I always want that elbow to get pulled up, and I like to rotate the hand to the armpit. That's going to create my crunch. For me, I'm a bigger body, bigger upper body, and slightly off with my top. So when I spin, I have a tendency of falling away from wherever I'm trying to be. So in this particular armbar, I can spin as aggressively as I like because his arm is always going to let me pull his shoulder into my hips and I won't miss. If I go like traditional armbar and I just spin, guaranteed I'm going to land about a foot away from him just simply because of the way my body is built and I haven't fixed it. So yeah, I'm in, he frames, chop, we collect. Oh no, trap. I'm going to pull him up, rotate, there goes his hips, pull, right here, I switch, okay? And now through here, wherever the thumb is, we rotate to follow his pressure wherever he does. So if he rolls his thumb this way, I push the arm the opposite. If he rolls this way, I move my hips the opposite. So when I'm here, look at his hips. I guarantee you he's going that way. So the moment he does, this knee pinches in and I push his hand to the opposite, okay? So even through here, I'm gonna let go and Matt's gonna race me to see who can escape, okay? Go. Okay, it's one of these where whenever that thumb plays, and because we're making an open arm bar, my shin is in his armpit and the other one's over his head. Guaranteed he's going to try to run a hitchhiker out the other side. Guaranteed. It's not a big deal. Anticipate it. Because if he doesn't, you still get the arm bar. If he does, you still get the arm bar. So who cares? Anticipate that he will roll that thumb. Just do it for him. Roll it, crunch it to the side, go ahead and set your pressure. If he never runs for it, it still works. If he does run for it, you're ahead of him and it still works anyway. All right, let's give it a shot. 1, 2, 3. Bang, we step over. Oh no, we're coming in through here. So if this foot is up, I'm not going to go for it. Okay? If I'm squatting, then I might. Okay? Which again, I use this one quite often. I can step up with either leg whenever I feel like it. Okay? And when you put your knees across somebody, don't just sit on their head. Bring those knees and literally put them in the middle of their chest. So that my stomach is sitting right on his shoulder, my knees are about the middle of his chest. I'm gonna make it hard for him to have to escape if he wants to. Okay? So when I'm in, and I'm gonna be here going for his arm, it's not uncommon for people to start trying to hide that hand. If they're wearing gis or things of that nature, they'll grab the pants, they'll grab the belt, things of that nature. Okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the hand as much as we can. And again, even if he holds fabric, I like to take his hand and pull it up into his armpit as much as possible, okay? Now I'm gonna take my foot and I'm gonna step over. Oh God. Okay, now I switch my hips. And now I use the power of my base, okay, of my caboose, to overpower his lip.
Thank you, Matt. We all appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay?
One more time.
Yeah.
More.
So,
Your sacrifice is appreciated.
so again, when we're done here, I like to pull it up. Even if he's grabbing fabric, there's always movement. Even if he's grabbing a belt, I can almost always bring it up a little bit higher. Pull it in, okay, through here. I need a little wobble to get in so that my leg, when I come over, okay, I'm chopping in and then I'm gripping into my own leg. Now I can base. And all I'm doing now is switching my hips, going from heavy on my left and then just walking my hips to go heavy on the right. And that's overpowering his arm in the process. And I can keep my hand on the ground. I can keep my base going super slow, or you can hammer at home. I mean, it's all up to you how you use your base. Okay. So when we're in, I'm holding on to him. When you put the foot up and over, okay, obviously I'm gonna have to get rid of one of my hands because it's not gonna work. So what I'm gonna do is, when I'm here and I bring my foot over, just grab thigh if you can. I'm a shin. Okay, a lot of it just has to do with your body, how it's going to work, how tight things need to be. It all works the same. Grab your shin or grab your thigh. Okay, if you got long, slender legs, you're probably grabbing your thigh. If you're like me, it's a little harder to get your leg over the top. I'm going to be about mid-calf, mid-shin. It's all the same thing though. It all works. Biggest part is slowly. I'm coming in. I'm here. My foot is not based. I'm not like this, okay? I'm here. So now my hips are gonna walk from one shoulder to his hip, okay? And again, it'll be a slow tap. When it happens, let go and back off. Make sense?
Yes.
All right, let's get it.